Good evening and welcome to the October 2nd evening session of the Johnston County Board of Commissioners. I will now call the meeting to order. I will say that Commissioner Stevens is joining us online from, like in the old wrestling days, from parts unknown, that she's joining us today. And again, we have said the prayer and the pledge this morning at the opening of our morning session. And then final reminder is of our 6 board priorities, which are educational, funding, infrastructure, financial stewardship, land use, public safety, and our county employees. So with that, I do have an announcement to make from this morning. We had a couple of boards that had more applicants than there were positions open. And the results of those are for the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. Lee Jackson was appointed for a term ending October 31st, 2026. And for the Moxican Creek Service District Board, Jeff Holt and Dickie Braswell were reappointed for terms ending October 31st, 2025. With that, I will move on to the approval of the agenda. And I don't think there's any adjustments that we have for that, so I'd hear a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, making a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All right, agenda is approved. Next up, we have public comments, and this is an opportunity for members of the audience who wish to address the board on an item that is not on the agenda to come forward. If you would, please state your name and your town or township of residence. And we ask that you keep things cordial, maintain proper decorum, and make your comments in a civil manner. And this is also an opportunity for the board to listen to the public. It's not an opportunity for us to engage in conversation and answer impromptu questions. So with that, if you'd like to come forward again, state your name and your town or township that you're from. Good evening.
Good evening. John Bailey. I live in Clayton. I didn't see the agenda for today. Will you be discussing the pharmaceutical project in Clayton?
Yes.
You will be?
Yes,
So I shall wait for the comment at that point?
So we will have a public hearing on that, and that time you can come
At that
forward.
time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And was it Pelly?
Perry.
Perry. Okay. Bailey. Okay.
Bailey.
There we go. Thank y'all. Obviously, Commissioner Braswell and myself have trouble.
My hearing.
Oh, yeah, hearing is off. All right. Anyone else wishing to speak? And Madam Clerk, I don't think we got any emails. Okay. All right. So next up, we have a public hearing, and we have a rezoning conditional use request, and I will now open the rezoning hearing for case 2318, and I will call on Braston Newton to come forward and present the information, and if there's any questions or clarification needed by the board.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Case 23-18 involves a petition to rezone 59.11 acres located at 2641 Powhatan Road in Clayton Township from agriculture residential to industrial 1. And Mr. Chairman, I believe you called it a conditional zoning. This is a straight rezoning.
Oh, yep, sorry.
This is a general use district rezoning. Owner and applicant is Novo Nordisk Pharmaceutical Industries, LP. The property is currently zoned AR, and it is used for such purpose that actually this particular parcel was had prior approval as a residential development, and I guess Novo has taken ownership of the property and has requested this rezoning. Traffic counts for Powhatan Road are not available in accordance with NCDOT's website, and this portion of Powhatan Road does not appear on our current CTP as needing improvement. This property is located in what is identified in our current land use plan as an employment center. And be glad to answer any questions you may have. We did send out 21 notices to adjoining property owners.
All right, any questions? And I did have for our council Again, if you would remind the board and the public, what are the criteria that we need to consider when we're considering a rezoning case?
There are two things that you need to consider for a rezoning. One, consistency with the comprehensive plan, and two, whether or not the rezoning is in the public interest.
Okay. All right.
Who owns the land adjacent to this tract, Preston?
Which side?
Novo owns it on the
Yes,
west
Novo
side.
owns it, right,
Back to the west, yes, sir, that's no,
Okay.
it's the adjoining tract, the larger tract to the west, yes,
looks
sir.
like it backs up to a residential subdivision there.
It does.
Is that developed and built out, that subdivision?
It is developed, it is built.
Okay.
All right, and the property to the west was still zone AR or whatever it was, or?
It's no, the larger tract is actually zone I-1.
Okay, so that map was,
That
Not
map
accurate.
was not correct.
Okay.
I'm not sure where they picked that map up from. So
Yeah,
the
can you
larger
go back
tract,
one?
yeah, the larger tract to the, just to the west is actually zoned I-1. You rezone that or you approve the
Okay,
rezone.
I
that
thought- I
probably
just
about
wanted to-
3 or 4
wanted to
months ago now.
make that clear. So it adjoins I-1 to the west.
That's correct.
So would that be an RTZ in that property?
That would be a discussion that this board would have to have with NOVO. So,
Yeah, so I think the last rezone was that not included in the RTZ?
To double check the PIN numbers, but we did add some property recently to the RTZ from Novo Nordisk, but I can check on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank-
All right, now we'd ask the applicant to come forward and present any information that is relevant.
Good evening. My name's Leland Wilford. I currently live at 1953 Hilltop Road in Nightdale. I am representing Novo Nordisk. I'm the attorney for the organization. As the county attorney has illuminated, it would be in the county's interest to rezone the property that we just acquired from DRB, since the property to the west of it is already zoned industrial 1. We have put that property to the west of this property in question into the RTZ, and I believe our company has desires to do that with this property as it would be considered rezoned. If I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your title with the company.
I'm the U.S. product supply attorney for the company.
Okay.
All right. Any questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wishing to speak? Mr. Bailey? Yes, sir. This is your time to come forward.
Gentlemen?
Come on up to the microphone first.
Gentlemen, I live at 2705 Powhatan Road, right next to that. And I want to just say that Novo Nordisk, where they built their original factories by the railroad tracks, they did a marvelous job of putting the factories back, landscaping it. They're a beautiful site. They have nice fences around it. But unfortunately, I think the company has taken a step backwards. And now they've built right on Powhatan Road and right next to my house a pile of dirt, which is going to be there probably forever. It's got to be 50 feet wide and probably 50 feet high. Bulldozers up there constantly plowing the stuff around. There's 3 trucks every 20 minutes dropping dirt up there. And that goes all the way back about 500 feet. Gentlemen, I had to spend $20,000, the contract, to put up a fence around that monstrosity. I don't think it's fair, because the company did such a nice job on originally building their plants. And now they've forgotten about that. They've forgotten that they were going to build in a residential area. And I just would request that in the future, they would consider that and move all their projects to deposit dirt. Actually, and it's coming. There'll be more dirt coming. I know that. I talked to the foreman. Put it back further. Put it away from the residential areas. You know, we've got to live there too. We want to protect the values of our home. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is the dirt a buffer or what is it for?
No, the original company that owned the land, that built the berm, berm's only 5 feet. There's a car length right next to the berm, and then they started to build the mountain. It's huge. Huge. Not nice to look at. It's very detracting to the entire neighborhood. And that's a nice neighborhood. It's not, they're good homes, they're expensive homes, and that's going to really affect people and their values. Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Bale?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak? All right, I will now close the public discussion portion of the hearing and call for Mr. Newton to come forward and summarize and present the planning board's recommendation.
Yes, sir, as it relates to case 23-18, the rezoning of said tract, planning board does recommend approval and offers a statement of consistency for your consideration.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Newton?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Is anything going to be worked into this having to do with that pile of dirt?
We can contact the project manager. We've had numerous contacts with him, and we can definitely contact them and see if we can get that moved swiftly.
You know, they've got a history of being, as Mr. Bailey said, good corporate citizens. And I would think if somebody expressed concern about that, they could locate that dirt somewhere else. I feel like it's probably a temporary storage.
It most
Thing.
likely is spoiled from
Right.
outside. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question along those same lines. I think that in the industry I used to be in, I think that probably truly is a temporary situation. But would that berm and any buffer be addressed, and once it eventually gets to or if it gets to eventual site plan approval, would that not be addressed during that process?
Yes, sir, that would.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It'd be essentially the entire perimeter as where it adjoins any non-liked or non-similar zoning. So everything to the east, south and east of the property, and everything due south as well. That would take care of it. And along the road, of course.
Okay.
And certain types of soil, sometimes they're loaded up, call it charging, to prepare a pad for a building. They're not doing that out there as far as you know, are they?
They should not be at this moment, no, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, sounds like with the proximity to the property line, that's probably not what they're doing, so. All right, and I know really this doesn't have anything to do with the rezoning itself, just some additional discussion. So any other questions for Mr. Newton? All right, thank you, Mr. Newton. I will now close the hearing and turn it over to the board for any other discussions, given the two criteria that we've been given to base our decision on, which is consistent with the zoning comprehensive plan and also in the public interest.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt a statement of consistency resolution as presented in the agenda package and approve the rezoning request.
All right. We have a motion,
I second it.
and we have a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Oh, thank you. I got the aye, and then we got that. Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right, next up, we have the residency redistricting project, and I'm going to ask our attorney, Ms. Slusser, to come forward and provide us some information on that.
Good morning. It's not morning, it's afternoon. It's evening, it's night. It's been a long day. Sorry about that. Good evening. I have for you some additional information about the redistricting project. We completed the public hearing this morning, and you heard feedback on the various proposals. And tonight, what we are asking you to do is to consider the redistricting plans that have been presented to you through maps 1, 2, and 3. And if you so choose, to adopt a resolution approving one of those maps. And certainly am interested in your thoughts about that. I will say that I have talked to each of you individually, not collectively as a group, and the feedback that I received was positive towards map 1, which is the map, I think, that has been endorsed by the majority of the citizens that you have heard from. I think there was no map that was presented that there was significant opposition to. I think we had one neutral, and then the other comments were for map 1. And so what I did based on that information is I took the liberty of preparing a resolution related to map 1. If you don't like that resolution, certainly we can have it revised for different maps. But if Susie, if you don't mind, if you could pop that resolution up.
I was looking for a blank space that we could write in.
Well, the reason that I went ahead and did that, it was based on the information that we got throughout this process, and then this morning. The one thing you'll note, and you've got copies of this resolution at your seat, but you'll note that there's a pretty significant description at the end, and that's with the census blocks that are assigned to each district. And so that takes a little bit of time to put together, so we wanted to make sure that it was right. And if you would like, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to read the resolution into the record, or it is up on the screen for the public, whichever you
I make
prefer.
a motion that the resolution be part of the record, and would make a motion in favor of approving it.
And this is for map 1.
Map
Sorry.
1.
Map
1.
Map 1.
Second that motion.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Yeah, I guess mine's not a discussion, but a comment that 3 weeks ago, I didn't know if we could get 4 votes on anything, but I think the diligence of the board to continue to work and look and think and then receive the comments and information from the public, even as late as this morning, kind of factored into the decision. But I do want to make sure we thank those folks who did take the time to participate or attend the meeting in this room for being part of the process. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd echo that we worked together. We came up with a solution like everybody has a win-win, and we moved on down the road, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
So, if you're ready, I'll make the motion that we adopt.
well, we already had the motion. We've got a.
The resolution, did you make it?
Yeah,
For both,
yeah, he
yes,
got
sir.
it. Yeah, he was on a roll. So
Motion and a second.
He
now-
entered it in the
now-
record,
yeah,
and
Did
I
two
moved
things
to
in
approve
one
it.
motion.
He did.
He's good at it. Yeah. So there we go. All right. So we have any other comments before we? All right. Ms. Stevens, did you have any comments?
I just love that they both just agreed on that.
All right. So all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And what is the next step in the process?
So we will, once the chairman executes the resolution, we will forward that tomorrow to the Board of Elections, and we will file it with the Secretary of State's office, and then the filing period will begin in December.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for your hard work. And I
Yes.
do not see Tish in here, but again, thank her for countless hours she spent working on that, so. All right, that brings us to manager report and comments. All right, board reports and comments.
You know, times like this is when we really get to see what our employees are made of. We think we did this in-house with staff, and I'm really, for one, really proud of the job they did and how we brought it together. So I just like to say our employees are always coming through for us.
All right.
I know he won't hear this because he's traveling, but I sort of feel for Mr. Bailey, who was just in here, having that going on around his house. And he's got a nice house there on South End. I don't know, I guess in my own mind, I'm going to probably follow up and make sure he gets some satisfaction out of that process.
Yeah, and as Mr. Newton confirmed, I think we have an opportunity in the process on site plan approval to make sure that,
Yeah.
and I have a feeling that Novo will continue to want to be
Yeah,
good neighbors.
They're really good corporate citizen, and I think they'd be sensitive to that concern over there.
I think it's just stockpile for borrow.
Yeah. I think it's a temporary situation.
Vice Chairman Harris?
No, sir. Thank you.
No, sir.
Mr. Chairman, let me have a moment. Just want to say it's been a great privilege for me to represent Johnston County over the past 25 years, and it's time to go home, and I plan to go home, and I'm going to serve out my term, but I will not be filing for re-election. Thank you.
All right. And the chairman has no reports at this time, so we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We are adjourned.